Dude.
Thank you, Madam President. I spoke with several people today concerning what I was going to get ready to say. And I want to talk about something that happened the other night. I don't want this to be taken in any way that not appreciative of somebody being recognized by the President. But it bothered me, because as I sat there and I listened to this, and I think most people know that we've tried to change the tone and the tenor of what has gone on in Frankfort. But I heard our governor give an address to this body, the joint session, that asked the president to get off our backs. This is a little personal to me. And I've talked about this on many occasions. What was meant by get off our backs at that point in time was the fact that this administration at the federal level, the current president, was strangling my region of the state. In the last year and a half, we've lost over $106 million in severance tax. I know, like the senator from Pike, the senator from Floyd, the senator from Carter, the senator from Perry, we've had many, many friends who have come to us and said, we just lost our jobs. Now, we've talked about Senate Bill 1 and regulations. Well, it goes beyond just that. For me, maybe it's likewise for some other people. This has hit my family, personally. I have, and people know my situation and my lifestyle, I'm very close to the aunts and uncles and grandparents of my children. They started a business some 50, 60 years ago in the coal business. And when we're laying in our beds at 5 o'clock in the morning, they were getting out, going to the mines, and swinging steel. They ran augers. I don't know if anybody knows what swinging steel is, but the smallest section I've ever seen is about a 24-inch section that goes up to 8 feet long, made of solid steel and strengthened steel on a cutting head that goes through rock and dirt and slate and coal. And it goes up to a 60-inch head, big enough that you can almost walk through the hole. They were out there at 5 o'clock in the morning working before we ever got out of bed. They made a good living doing this. My daughters, hopefully my 14, 15-year-old son who was here with me the other day, will continue to see the benefits of what their aunts, their uncles, and their grandfather did. But I doubt it. They got out there and they worked hard. And I'm not afraid to sit here and say that they made a very good living. My father-in-law is still continuing, years after his death, to pay for my children's education in Lexington and Louisville. My son, Joshua, who many of you all have seen, he grew up with me being in the legislature, had to leave the business because there wasn't any work. They went from 30 to 40 employees, now they're down to about 10. He was making $15, $16 an hour with production bonuses. The other day, my brother-in-law called me and said, you know what? I just got cited for a regulation that they admit is not on the books, but said it didn't matter, you can go to court and litigate it for 2 years. We know we'll lose, but we're shutting you down. I would say that if the senator from Carter heard this, she'd be up in arms. And I'll bet she has, Madam President, that they've seen regulators from both the state and federal level who have done things like this. In fact, I think we read about what one legislator in the House talked about, some of them wanting monies to look the other way on regulations. But you know, it amazes me when I see this, and that my son, who wanted to go into that business, can't go into that business. He went out and got training, he left the family business, no longer there. In the first time in at least 30 years that I can remember, this company came together, and their members at the end of the year, and there was no profits. There was no distributions. And I'm not apologizing for the fact that these people got out and worked hard for many, many years. And I heard the governor say, "Get off our back." It bothers me. It is personal to me because of my families and my friends that I have seen this administration destroy. What also bothers me is the statements that the Obamacare system is working. I have never been one to try to exaggerate numbers. I think it ruins your credibility. But I want to give you the numbers that our Secretary of Health and Human Services has given us. There was going to be approximately 308,000 people who would have come on to the Medicaid rolls by this expansion. As of the other day, I believe there was 137,000. In December, the members of our caucus, Madam President, were told that there was at least 10,000 that were going to come on the rolls anyway, but they were counting those within their numbers. That drops that to 127,000. Now the expansion through the health care exchanges. 332,000 people were supposed to have obtained insurance through the health care exchanges. As of today, with the latest numbers, or as of this week, with the latest numbers we have received, that's about 42,000. But I want you to understand something, the members of the body and the press, and I'll be interested to see if the Courier-Journal and the Herald-Leader write this. According to the executive branch numbers, 165,000 people have lost their insurance. That's a net 120,000 people who have lost their individual plans. That's something that's quantifiable. That is something there is record of. That is not an opinion. That is their facts. So out of a population of 640,000, they're around 170 in the two plans combined. But if we were in sports, as we've talked about sports today, on the healthcare exchanges, they're not even batting 150. They couldn't get the contract. They wouldn't be in the minor leagues. They wouldn't be in professional athletics. But then you add on those 165,000 people that also lost their insurance. We have spent, and don't think that it's just the state that's not spending, it's tax dollars, everybody's tax dollars. We have spent over $100 million to do, by their numbers, and giving them the benefit of the doubt, affect 5,000 people more than we hurt. 5,000 people more for $100 million, but we're authorized to go up to $250 million. I don't claim that to be a success. The success was creating a website The product that has been cast upon us, that's been known as Obamacare, is an unmitigated disaster. And what brought it more to light than anything was something that I have heard in the last little bit. They don't want to talk about, and people want to ask names. I can give you names of people to call. Mike Corey, George Hammonds, who are helping seniors on limited and restricted incomes who have come in to see that their Medicare supplements have gone from $60 to $130, and they can't afford the Medicare supplement anymore. You can't go out and quantify that because we don't have the records. So that 5,000 dwindles. But the other day, I want to finish you with this, and I'm going to say something else about this. We're going to get into the budget process, and we're going to get into legislation. And I've seen and I've watched this. There's going to be other indicators from other people outside this process that this isn't working. Just wait and see. But this is what I received from a friend. The Affordable Health Care Act that was supposed to have universal coverage. Madam President, I'm going to read. I have finally reached my vent threshold. This is a friend of mine. One of the major tenets of Obamacare was the right to keep your health insurance if you wanted. My high-risk pool was discontinued December 31st, 2013. As of today, January 2014, I am without any health insurance. My new provider is so far behind with the processing that I'm still in process, and nothing can be pre-authorized, including my PET scan, to determine if the spots on my lungs are inflammatory or cancer. I have paid for my health insurance for 33 years, but now, due to the President, I have none. Don't know when I may get it or when I may get my scans. I sure wish I had my old health insurance, President Obama. This lady has been a friend of mine, and many people in this body know her. And she can't get a PET scan. She has fought throat cancer for the last year and a half. She has lost at least 10 or 20 pounds, numerous pounds, because of the treatment. She wears a scarf to hide the scars from the burns on her neck from chemo and radiation. And we want to be recognized as a success in this state. I'm not going to stand up and be recognized for anything that has this type of impact and effect on the state of Kentucky and its people. Thank you, Madam President.